Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you clicked on this video, you might be wondering, why the hell did you end up staying in a hostel for a year? Today I'm going to be talking about the how, why and assumptions about hostel life. So let's start this video with a tour. Car park, slackline that nobody uses, tremendous river, wrecks, trampoline, hammocks, more open space, useless signs, but they look pretty. The gym. Hostel from the other side of the dam. Wrecks again. Come on then. Good boy. A bridge and an island. Puppy.
Oh, good girl.
So one of the main questions that I get all the time from people that I know, my friends, family, and people in general is, why have I done this to myself? And actually, the answer is quite easy. If you come to Australia with a working holiday visa, you need to do a certain amount of farm work if you want to extend it. If you're in your first year and you want to stay a second year, you need to do at least 3 months of farm work. If you're in your second year and you want to extend it into a third year, you need to do 6 months of farm work. When I got to this hostel, I only just started my second year and I've already done 3 to 4 months of farm work in my last year, so I knew what I was getting myself into. Now that I actually had to do 6 months, I wanted to get it done as soon as possible, which is why I ended up here. This is not just a normal hostel, this is a working hostel, which is very common in Australia. So basic concept is you pay rent, you live in this hostel. It's probably a bit more expensive than living in a share house, but still absolutely affordable. And the hostel owner or whoever manages the hostel or does reception gets you the jobs, which is quite handy for farm work because it can be a real pain in the ass to find jobs in rural Australia. When it comes to fruit picking or packing, the seasons are quite short as well, so if you stay in a place where you can constantly get work, even better. Now, what is it actually like living in a hostel? Especially in an off-grid hostel in rural Australia. So obviously a big part of it is privacy, which once you move into a hostel, you kinda have to give up to a certain degree. What you see now is a private room. I mean, you can see a double bed right here. I've only just recently, I think it's been 2 months now, moved into this private room, still in the hostel. But before that, the whole 10 months I've lived in a dorm. And privacy in a dorm is basically non-existent. I was very lucky that I got to move in with a friend that I made just in the beginning when I arrived, and I ended up having most of my friends in the dorm. It was a 4-bed dorm and we had a friggin' good time in that dorm room. But nevertheless, privacy is a no-go. You are sharing your space with 30 to 80 other people. The hostel that I'm living in is pretty quiet in winter. That's now June, July, August. It's pretty quiet. We're around 30 people now, which basically feels like a big share house. But in summer it gets super busy. Last summer I reckon we were up to 100 people in the hostel, and bear in mind that it's still the same facilities. We didn't all of a sudden get 15 more toilets or more washing machines, more cooking space. No. We've got this certain amount of everything, and then you need to learn to share. So privacy is definitely very, very rare. You are getting used to a lot of stuff, and that can be great too, because actually it can't be great. It's always a pain in the ass, and it will forever be a pain in the ass. But you'll get used to it. A good thing about living in a hostel long term is definitely the community aspect. I thrive so much in a community. Like last year when I just moved into this hostel, I had the best crew to be living in a hostel in like such a tiny space together. And it was great because you've always got people around. You come home from work, there's people that you can chat with about your day. You can run to anyone with your problems. There's always going to be someone who's going to listen. We all go through the same stuff. Let me tell you, farm work can be really, really tough sometimes. But the good thing about it is you're not doing it alone. You get up at 5 o'clock in the morning with people. You're not the only one. Most of my times when I got up at 5, half 5 in the morning, people were already going to work, or people were already in the breakfast area. With breakfast area, I mean the kitchen. You just don't feel alone. You feel like you're doing it with a bunch of people, and that is what gets you going in a sense. So definitely community aspect, big, big, big plus for hostel life. Assumptions people have about living in a hostel, or hostels in general, would probably be parties, drugs, and everyone hooking up with each other, which is true. When you live in a hostel long term, there's a few things that you will eventually get used to, and these few things could be putting your earbuds in on a nighttime as a general routine, getting up at 5 a.m, going to sleep at 9 p.m, and that's perfectly normal. Driving on unsealed roads. This is obviously not a general hostel life aspect or stuff like you get used to in a normal hostel, but if you live a bit off-grid like we are, then you'll definitely get used to the dirt roads. Walking a mile to get water. So this is a funny thing, because the way our hostel is designed is we've got 2 big water tanks that are getting filled up by rainwater. The only bad thing is you have to walk to get your rainwater. You can't drink the water out of the tap because our water is connected to our dam, which is very, very, very gross. Same goes with the bathrooms. We are living on a block with a nice veranda here outside, but to get to the toilets is, I think, a solid 30-second walk, which I know it's not super long, but bear in mind, if you'd be living in an apartment or in a house, it'd be very, very different. Also, this hostel is very much outdoors, so if it rains, you will get wet on the way to the bathroom. You'll also get used to making it a full-on mission to go cook in the kitchen. Not only because sometimes it'll get so busy that you literally have to fight for a stove, but because we have most of our stuff, or like pantry stuff, in our room, we need to plan what we take to the kitchen to cook, because also the kitchen is a bit of a walk. That means if you went to the kitchen, you want to cook dinner, you forgot something, you have to walk all the way back to the room to get a thing. And you won't believe how many times that has happened to me in this past year. You'll get used to things not working, which can be the stoves, which I'm pretty sure only 50% of are working at this minute. Electricity. big thing in an off-grid hostel. There's storms and heavy rainfall all the time here where we live, and sometimes it feels like every time there's a wind blowing somewhere, the electricity in here is just dead. The Wi-Fi is also never working. You'll get used to that. Putting all your fresh produce in labeled fridge bags, pooping next to each other, basically doing everything next to each other. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I could shed light into hostel life in off-grid Australia long term. Hashtag this is gonna be such a long title. Yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of these kind of videos, and I'll see you in my next. Bye!